Ready.
Welcome to another edition of Osceola Chat. My name is Pat Burnham, and I'm joined today by the owner of the Osceola, Jerry Cutts, our managing editor, Bob Ferrante, and our special guest, FSU running backs coach and recruiting coordinator, David Johnson. Coach Johnson, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Well, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. We know there's a lot going on. Coach, our first question, obviously this is unprecedented times in our country with COVID-19. What are you and your family doing while you're self-quarantined, and what has been some of the upside as a father and husband to being with your family?
Well, we getting to spend really a lot of time together. Kind of getting to kind of know each other, knowing each other daily routines. Because so many times as a coach, you're gone most of the day. So I'm there with my 9th grader. He's doing a lot of sleeping, so hopefully he's getting taller. My wife is making sure he's doing the things he needs to do online. And we're just trying to find the best way to go through this and kind of praying for everybody around us.
Well, obviously this is a nerve-wracking time. I know Jerry and I have talked over the course of the last couple of days. We both know people that have been impacted by COVID-19. And you had mentioned before we started taping that you're from Louisiana and have some family members that are sick. Can you tell us a little bit about what's that like to go through?
I think it's tough right now. And I think the toughest thing, my wife, she's been a nurse for 20 years. So she understands a little more than I do. For us to have really close family members in the hospital and actually in the hospital alone, that's the scariest part is no one's there with them. Nobody can visit them or sit with them. So we try to talk to the nurses throughout the night 3 to 4 times a day. And we're just kind of praying for us. So we're praying for everybody throughout this nation and actually the world. So, we can kind of get by this.
Well, we extend our thoughts and prayers to your family as well. And of course, there's a lot of people that are being affected by this. And, at this time, it really does seem like football's taking a back seat as well it should. But we do want to talk a little football with you. I think the first question that we have, everyone that when we hear you talk about David Johnson, they refer to you as Coach Yak. Can you explain how you got that nickname or what it means?
Well, early on in my career, I was a receiver guy. It was always stood for yards after catch, but now I'm coaching running back, so I didn't have to change anything. Now it's yards after contact.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. At least continue to move forward with that. Coach, you've been at the high school level, major college level, been a coach a long time. Who are some of the guys that you feel like have influenced and been mentors in your career and kind of helped you define your qualities, not only as an on-the-field coach, but as a recruiting coordinator?
I think, obviously, a guy I'm working with right now, Mike Norvell, early on in 2009, when I got a chance to meet him, just his energy. When I got a chance to work with him at Memphis, he helped me definitely on the field, kind of making sure I perfected my craft. I also started out coaching 2002 with one of my best friends, Frank Wilson, who's the head coach at McNeese State now, who was, also one of the best recruiters in the nation for his time on different schools he's been to. So those guys been influencing me. Obviously, I just left another league, SEC, where I had some coaches who kind of pushed me to the limit and kind of really helped me with this recruiting process. So now I just kind of fell in love with it, understand that recruiting is the bloodline to what you're doing. You have to get good recruits in order to be a real successful program.
Well, you mentioned that, and you are charged with replacing FSU's most dominant offensive player from a year ago, Cam Akers. You had 12 days of tour of duty and 3 days with your guys on the field in practice. What did you see in your group that you like, and what are you most excited about when you get a chance to go back on the field with them?
I think the biggest thing, these guys worked extremely hard. They had great attitudes. We were able to push them to the limit. And these guys did everything we asked. Now, trying to replace somebody like Cam, you're not going to do that with one person. There's going to have to be a group effort in my room. He's a legendary player. That's not going to happen just with one guy. I don't care who you're bringing in. It's just, he's just a special player. So now we have to do it as a group, and they understand that, and everybody has a role to play. So we're going to continue to kind of get better. But the kids are doing a wonderful job. And I'm not just talking about on the field. I'm talking about off the field. Been doing everything we can ask them to do, and we're just trying to better our relationship and build a stronger relationship with these guys so we can move forward.
Well, you got some good news recently with the NCAA approving the waiver for Deshaun Corbin. Kind of tell us how that helps you next year from a depth standpoint.
Oh, that was major. We needed that. We definitely were looking for more depth in our room. That's why we went out and tried to recruit so many running backs and different people can fit different modes in our offense. So I think with Jay coming back, that's going to be major for us. And this kid, he's a redshirt sophomore, has been doing really good. He understands the game. He's a student of the game. So we're really excited to find out what he's going to do once he gets on that field.
Coach, let me take you back to recruiting for a question. What's more important in a recruiter, the ability to evaluate or the ability to close?
I think the ability to evaluate is probably key, to know exactly what you're looking for. The closing part comes with time. That comes with relationships. And I think the biggest thing with closing prop at the end is having a listening ear, being able to listen to exactly what that recruit and that family is looking for. So if you're able to do those things and find out exactly the needs that the family's looking for, the kid is looking for, and find out who's really close to that kid. And I think throughout this process is being extremely honest. I think that's really important for you to be honest with kids, because these kids have so much access to so much information. So there's no need to kind of lie to them about anything or paint a picture that's not really there.
Coach, on evaluation, how do you all go about evaluating, both as an individual coach and then as a unit, as a staff?
Obviously, the first thing you do, most guys, the first thing that stands out to you would be a highlight, early on. See if the kid have the ability and things that you're looking for: short area quickness, long speed, ball skills. Seeing how tough a kid is. Now, the next thing, obviously, you start looking at the academic report and trying to find out if academically he'll be eligible. And you start to get to know the kid. How much does he love football? What does his teammates think about it? What does his coaching staff think about him? So as you're going through this evaluating process, it's ongoing. It's just not 1 or 2 weeks and you know what you got. But I think it's an ongoing process and understanding what you're getting. And I love kids to come out, and I tell them all the time, the highlight tape is only your resume. Most people don't get hired by their resume. You have to go through several interviews. So once we understand, okay, we see all the highlights, but I like to go to games and see when you're down. When I know you can't come back in a full quarter, I want to see your body language. Coach Norvell is really big with our kids with body language and how they respond when certain things happen. Because if you have a kid in high school and everything's not going his way and he's not a team player, that's eventually going to happen in college. I don't care how good he is, and it's not going to be good for your organization, for your team.
Coach, that's several of you have mentioned body language and how important that is to Coach Norvell. Can you expand a little bit more on that and why that is so important?
Well, a lot of times we're going to put you in a tough situation. And Coach Norvell is not only going to put the kids in a tough situation, he also is going to put the coaches in a tough situation to see how we respond. And the biggest thing is, if we can't be coachable as coaches, how can we expect our kids to be coachable? So sometimes when coaches get on us, he's trying to see how we're going to respond as coaches. And I've been working with him long enough to understand that you just keep moving, you keep going. You try to encourage your kids. You try to get the best out of your kids. Even if you think you did something right and he disagreed with it, it's not a time to go back and forth to say who was right, who was wrong. He's looking for you to respond, because everything's not going to go your way. And we understand that. And when things start going bad or going the opposite way, you just kind of embrace it. And that's what he wants from the coaches, and that's what he wants from the kids. And I think our kids, early on, they didn't understand that. But later, you can see they understood that's who we are. That's a part of it, because bad things are going to happen. It's all about how you respond.
Coach, there's staff recruit different ways and approve kids different ways, and they have a different sets of checks and balances. I've been with programs where the recruiting coach would approve a kid that had to take it to the position coach, who would take it to the coordinator, and then signed off by the head coach. Can you tell us a little bit about the structure of y'all's recruiting?
It's the same. Basically, once you identify a kid, you definitely want that position coach to see the kid. Next, you want the coordinator to see the kid. The area coach, he's going to know a little more about the background. And ultimately, it's up to the coordinators and the head coach to kind of sign off on it. And that's a good part about it, because we agree to disagree, because that's where a lot of the arguments come in at, and we love it. That's one thing about all of us. We're competitive. We think we have the signs down packed, who we want, why we want them, but ultimately it depends on the coordinator. Now, once we leave out of that room, we all on the same page. We have to understand that, but that's when you have most of your arguments, when you start talking about who should be on the board and who shouldn't be on the board. I like this kid, I don't like this kid. So at the end of the day, we just try to find the best football players and the best fit for us.
Well, Coach, you guys had a tremendous amount of momentum in recruiting. We're getting kids on campus from official visits from all over the Southeast United States. What has been the biggest challenge during this dead period, which has just been extended by the NCAA to go through May 31st? What is the biggest challenge you guys have faced, and what have you been able to do successfully to keep that momentum? You guys have been named in the top 5 of some national recruits here in the last 48 hours. How have you guys been able to keep that momentum going?
I think the people that you have in this building, the coaching staff, really good people, obviously really talented coaches, but they're really good people. And they understand young people. Most of us coach high school football, so we kind of understand that part of it. But I think the biggest thing, what happened when kids got on campus, they were able to be around us. They were able to kind of see us for who we were. We're not putting on a show. This is who we are. And I think right now that's the disadvantage for us, not able to have those kids on campus where their families can get a chance to be around us a little more. Now, obviously, you FaceTiming kids and families, that's a little different. But, we have to keep pushing, keep building those relationships. And the day is going to come when their kids are able to come back on campus, and you just have to hold on until that day comes.
I've got a lot of friends in coaching, and they always talk about, well, if I could walk into a school with that logo, oh man, I would kill it. You've got one of the biggest brand names in college football on your chest every time you walk into a high school this past December and January. What does it feel like to be able to go in and represent Florida State as a recruiter?
It's amazing. I don't care where you go, from the West Coast to the East Coast, it doesn't matter. This brand is recognized. And you know that, and they start talking about different players, and obviously Coach Bowden and what he's done. And so that's what you pride yourself on. You just want to make sure you upholding your end of the bargain and doing the things that you need to do to make sure you get the right kids in the program.
Coach, another question on recruiting is the relationships with high school coaches. And it seemed to me that in your signing group this past year, you all assigned kids that you had prior relationships with for the most part, right? You depended on relationships?
Yes, I think that's key with especially with the high school coaches. Right now you have so much 7-on-7 going and kids playing for different all-star teams. But at the end of the day, you always want to call and build that relationship with the high school coach. That's a coach who's going to understand the academic side of it. He's been around that kid more than anybody. He understands the kid's background. And I think that's out of respect to make sure you build a solid relationship with high school coaches. Even if they don't have any top players at the time that maybe can't play at Florida State, you still stop by their school. You still make calls to them. You still invite those guys on campus. That's how they know it's a solid relationship. So when they do have big-time players, it's not anything that you're trying to make up any ground. You already have a solid relationship with them.
Two more questions. One on recruiting. One is, are you able to do that with Zoom and the telephone right now? I mean, I know it's not as good as getting face-to-face. That's my one question.
Yeah, you're able to definitely do it with kids. The kids love Zoom. They love FaceTime. This is the generation where they understand that technology is everything to them. So this is not a major bump in the road for them. This is something they've been doing for a long time. They understand this is how they kind of communicate with each other. So just kind of getting the parents on now is a little different. They're not used to FaceTime with coaches and different things like that. But I think, when you have a guy like Mike Norvell and you put him in front of coaches and you put him in front of parents, it's easy. I'm being honest with you. It's really easy when Coach Norvell is able to get on with those parents and those kids because of his personality.
And my last question on recruiting is, it looks like high schools are not going to have spring practice. How does that affect what you're doing?
I think the biggest thing now, you can't go out and evaluate those kids before summer. So the next step is trying to find a way to have some type of camp. I know the camp season may be short, but they'll probably have to figure out a way to have camps maybe for 1 or 2 weeks. So everybody in the country want to be fighting for these kids to truly evaluate them once they get them on their campus, to try to get them to some type of camp So you know how to gauge these kids, find out exactly what they can do. If they can handle your coaching style, which I think is one of the big things that people don't recognize. That's why we love kids to come to camp to see how they respond. So that's going to be one of the major things when these kids don't have spring practice.
I think I lied. I do have a third question. One more.
Take your time.
If spring were to be eliminated, would you be an advocate for moving the early signing, maybe eliminating the early signing period, or moving it back?
I wouldn't. I want the kids out. We're in the boat where we want to get them on campus as quick as possible. We don't want to have to wait until February because you have some mid-year kids. So the mid-year kids is big for kids to come in at mid-year so they can get stronger and faster. So I would want those kids, if we could sign them early, try to sign them early as possible. You know, you kind of evaluate them, kind of know what you're getting, especially your top kids at this point in time. So I'm trying to get them on campus and get them signed as quick as possible.
Coach, with the extended dead period through May 31st, which takes high schools out of going and watching high school, I don't think like Jerry said, there's not going to be any spring practice in high schools. Do you think that you will see more colleges, if we're able to have camps this summer, do you think you'll see more colleges go to padded camps so they can make a truer evaluation of kids?
It depends on the state. You know, you start talking about padded camps, you start talking about major insurance. So you start talking about things like that. I think that'll still be hard. You're just going to have to gauge and kind of trust your eyes when you get kids on campus and they're able to kind of go through workouts and the things that you're looking for to truly evaluate them. But having a padded camp may be tough, but that's a great idea, though. I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Yeah, well, the reason I asked, when I was at South Florida, we had a team padded camp, and they've kind of gone away since more kids are doing visits during the summer. But this being kind of a unique situation, I just wondered if it was something that you guys had talked about as a staff or had heard anything in the industry about that.
But it sounds like something I will be talking about.
Well, I'm glad I could help. So this video interview just paid off for you.
Yes, right.
Well, Coach, we do want to talk to you about some off the field stuff to kind of give our subscribers and viewers a little bit of insight to who you are and what kind of personality you have. So we've been asking a wide variety of questions to all the other coaches. One of which is, obviously we're all locked down with our families at this time, but if you could spend quarantine with the next 4 weeks with any three people throughout the course of history, who would those three people be?
Whew. Well, I have to still put my wife up there. Want to make sure that's Akia Johnson will definitely be up there. Trying to see. At this point in time, my dad's in Texas. I would love to have this time to spend with him. I haven't been. My dad is 87 years old, and I've been doing this college coaching thing for a while, so it's kind of hard to do that. And trying to see who else. Probably my high school coach, Leroy Walker. He was just really, really a good guy. Taught me a lot. Taught me how to treat people in this profession, you know. But my dad, my wife, and my high school coach.
Okay, that's good. Are you a Netflix or Amazon guy? And if so, what is the last thing you've watched or binge watched? Which series?
I think Everybody Hates Chris. I've been watching Netflix because we don't have cable in the cottage that we're staying in right now. So that's the only thing I can watch is Netflix. So I've been watching Everybody Hates Chris.
Are you living next to Coach Atkins? Because he's got the same setup. He's got a cottage.
No, actually, Coach Atkins lives in a different cottage.
Okay.
I live down the street actually from Coach Maul.
Okay.
So, Coach, what do you like about Everybody Hates Chris? What have you enjoyed about that?
It's old school. It's kind of remind me when I was young. You know, life was simple. You know, and trying to be uneasy about just talking to a girl and different things like that. So, just kind of understanding how simple life was and what you thought was a problem when you were young. You realize it really wasn't that big of a problem, but you know, it was a good. You know, just kind of, I make my son watch it because he doesn't understand that, you know, we didn't always have cell phones. He don't get that part, you know. So
have you explained to him that there was a time you didn't have call waiting either? that you?
Yeah, he call Wade. He don't even think anything about that. Like, what did y'all do all day? No cell phones, no. I said we actually talk to each other.
Yeah. Coach, if you could name your top 3 movies, what would those be?
My top 3 movies would be Cooley High, the first Star Wars, and E.T.
Those are really
that was a quick response. Why so quick? Are those the only 3 movies you've been able to watch as a coach?
No, I haven't seen them in a while, but Cooley High has always been one of my best movies.
When you retire from coaching, what do you think your players would say about you, former players would say about you, and what would you want them to say about you?
What they were probably saying, I'm always on them. I want them to be perfect. That's one of the biggest things. And what I would want them to say about me, and I think they would say this too, that I cared about them. I truly cared about them. I understand, the different things that they wanted in life, and I just tried to help them accomplish their goals.
Coach, what are the things that you find yourself having to stay constantly on players about? What's the big things?
I think the biggest thing is understanding that you have to respond to any situation. Everything is not going to be given to you, but that's okay. Everything's not going to go your way, but it's going to make you stronger. And you have your mindset. That's my biggest thing with guys, is your mindset. No matter what's going on, it all depends on how you think about it. And I just tell guys that all the time, man. I just tell them I've been in tough situations, but I changed my mindset. When I changed my mindset, it wasn't as tough as I thought. So that's when I'm on those guys a lot about just having a good mindset, regardless of what happened. You have a good mindset, you can get through anything.
Coach, at Tennessee, you worked with one of the most famous Seminoles of all time last season, Chris Winkie. Can you tell us a little bit about Chris on and off the field and what you enjoyed about him?
Wink Dog, that's what I call him. I really love Chris. He obviously loves this university. As soon as I got the job, he said, yeah, my pictures are going to be all over. So I started taking pictures and said, yeah, they do have a few old pictures of you in him, but he's a real hard worker. He's he's a professional. He understands that, but just a great guy. He's a really, really good guy. He helped me out a lot at Tennessee. We have a good relationship. But when I took the job, that's the first thing he said. He said, Dave, you're going to love Tallahassee. But so did Coach Pruitt. Coach Pruitt told me the same thing. He knew I was trying to get back closer to home, my family. He also loved Tallahassee, but Wink Dog loves Tallahassee. He said, Dave, I'm still the king of Tallahassee. I said, I know.
Yeah, he is a really popular guy here. Coach, you mentioned that you haven't had a lot of time in Tallahassee, but what are some of the things you're enjoying about being in Tallahassee?
I think that Southwood neighborhood, the neighbors are just really good people. Everybody's, kind of on edge right now, wondering what's going to happen with the season. But that's every day we come out, that's what the whole neighborhood is talking about. And it's a real neighborhood. Everybody get along with everybody, bringing me all kinds of food when I come home from work. Hey, Coach, I was on the grill. I want to bring this to you and your family. But just the people, just really good people.
Coach, the value of a scholarship. Here in the United States, we give college scholarships as kids that maybe wouldn't otherwise get to go to college can come to college with an athletic scholarship. It's kind of unique in the world. What have you seen in your lifetime with what those college scholarships have meant to young people?
Wow. That's interesting. Just probably 3 or 4 days ago, one of my kids, I coached in high school, he tweeted something out saying that, I really impacted his life as a high school player. And I can remember this kid. He was on a team as a junior, but he didn't get a chance to play as a junior. You had some really good players. But his senior year, he scored 30 touchdowns. And I can remember the situation he was in, how hard he worked. He wanted to go to school for free. And he was obviously able, with his talent, to go to school for free. But he also played in the National Football League for almost 10 years. And that was Michael Wallace. And that's what he talked about. He said, Coach, you pushed me just to go to school and have an opportunity to go to school for free and get that education. Some kids don't have that opportunity. So, but I can remember him pushing himself and saying, Coach, this is it. This the only opportunity I'm gonna have. So I'm gonna do whatever you ask me to do. And that's what he did. And obviously God blessed him to kind of move on to the highest level in football. But to have kids who don't have anything and be able to go to school, what I call for free 99. And that's what I tell kids when they go to camps. As coaches, we have a blank check. We're going to write this check to somebody. It depends on what you do, how you perform, your body language, and your attitude throughout this camp. It's going to depend on who we're going to write the check to. And I also let kids know once you do get the check, it's not like when I was in school, I had a check for 4 years. Even for 5 years, I got redshirted. It's no longer like that. It's a competitive sport at this point, and we renew scholarships every year. So you have to kind of base your thing on off the field and doing the things you're supposed to do to keep your scholarship. So right now, I just think that's important for kids to understand the opportunity they have. And I tell kids all the time, don't let your opportunity embarrass you. Make sure you're always prepared for it.
Well, Coach, we know you got a busy schedule, have a lot going on with recruiting and obviously staff meetings. We appreciate your time today. Thank you for joining us. And of course, we will keep your family in Louisiana in our thoughts, as we are everyone right now. But we look forward to seeing you again soon, sitting down and talking with you, hopefully in person sooner rather than later.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate you guys.
Thank
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.